Hey everyone, welcome to the Wilson Homestead. So it is November 1st and we are having our first freeze tomorrow night. So I'm down here in the garden. I'm going to try to get all of the seeds that I want to save out of here. I'm going to harvest the sunflower heads. I have a bunch of rutabagas and beets back here behind me that need harvested. We haven't even had a frost here yet this year, but tomorrow night we are going straight down to 27 degrees, so I have to get everything out of here. Let's start with the sunflowers. I brought my loppers down here with me so I can cut the stalks easily. So we'll get those out and then we will probably work on the beets and rutabagas behind me. You can see all of my sunflowers are just flopped clear over the garden, over there where Hiccup is. I waited until the backs of the flowers had a little bit of brown. They are like completely yellow and they have a little bit of brown on the back of them. So the seeds should be good in them. So I'm going to harvest them and then I am going to take them in my basement and let them dry. Okay, so here's my biggest sunflower head, and I don't know if these are going to be any good. We just came out of something like 11 days of rain, and there's some mold and fuzzy stuff growing on top of some of these. Like, I think I'm going to try to dry them anyway, and just to see, but I'm pretty sure like those seeds are not going to be any good because they're wet. Ugh, that's such a bummer. I wish I would have picked them before the rain started. Oh well, learning lesson. Since those seeds are kind of soft on these two smaller heads, I think I'm just going to leave them down here in the garden for the birds to eat. And I think I'm going to try to save this big one because it doesn't seem to be nearly as wet and squishy as the other ones, but oh well, what are you gonna do? Alright, let's get started on the rutabagas and beets. These rutabagas are Laurentian rutabagas. I have golden Detroit beets and I have, I think it's dark red Detroit beets. So with the rutabagas, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the foliage and lay it down over the garden beds. But the beet greens, my chickens like to eat those, so I am going to save all of them for the chickens. Well, it's the next day. I obviously ran out of daylight last night whenever I was harvesting the rutabagas and beets. I got a pretty good harvest off of those. They weren't huge or anything, but I'm happy with it. So now all that I have left to do today is to harvest some seeds, and I'm going to start up here on my front porch. I have several different kinds of coleus up here that I want to save seeds from. Now, I did learn from saving seeds from my coleus last year that if you plant several different kinds, you're probably going to get a cross if you save the seeds from them. So I'm going to save these seeds, but this is one of my favorite coleus because it's one of the big squatty ones with the great big leaves. So I'm probably going to take some cuttings from this so that way I can ensure that I get some plants like this next year. But I'm going to save all of these seed stalks. See, they're brown and dried up. And here is another one that I'm going to save seeds from. This one's really pretty too. This is actually one of the crosses that happened last year. I think it was from this coleus here and my mixed with my black dragon coleus is what I think happened. Not quite sure, but it turned out really pretty. So So seed saving from this, cuttings from this, and cuttings from that. And then I have some Black Dragon, Coleus downstairs that I'm going to save seed from too. This is pretty simple. I'm just going to remove the seed stalk and put it on a plate and let it dry out really well, with Hiccup's help, apparently. They snap off of here pretty easily. That's Lucifer right there. He's new. They just show up. Okay, that should be plenty of seeds from this one. I'm just going to continue doing that with the rest of them, and then we will go down to the vegetable garden and see what we can find to save seeds off of down there. Here's all of my cuttings. Here is all of my seeds. So I'm pretty set for Coleus. I just took some cuttings and put them in a jar of water. I'll fill the jar up more once I get these inside. But everywhere where there were leaves that I stripped off of the bottom has a potential to grow roots. So if they're in water, they will start rooting, and then I will just pot these up, put them under lights, and then I can take cuttings off of these to make more plants as they grow throughout the winter. And then I should have plenty of Coleus in the spring to plant, plus all of these seeds. Now these seeds, you can already tell that just from, Eva of course is making a lot of noise, but you can tell that just from jostling them around, there's seeds coming out already. See all those little black dots? So once these dry up really good, I'll shake them around and then gather the seeds and put them in a small baggie or something. Alright, I made it down here to the garden. I wanted to save a few bean seeds, but it's looking like the seeds are probably not going to be any good. I just picked this one. This is about what they should look like, but they should be dry and crunchy. And we have had so much rain that everything is just starting to rot, which is a bummer. I really wanted to save my red swan bush beans that I had over in that bed, and most of the seed that I pulled out of there looked rotten, so I'm going to have to buy seeds next year, which is a bummer, but oh well, what are you going to do? Also, while we are down here, I have Gomphrena and Zinnias that I want to save seed from. Now, I've never saved seed from Gomphrena before, but I was really amazed with these plants. I mean, they still even look pretty good, honestly, for as cold as it's been. Like, they really came into their own during the end of summer and early fall. Anyway, with this Gomphrena, this is a pink one here. It probably looks white in the camera, but you find the blooms that are starting to dry up and get brown, and just pull them off. Now, I've never collected seeds from these before, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but oh no, it's starting to rain. Ugh. These Zinnias did really well for me. You can see they're still trying to put out new blooms and stuff, which will not last very long after tonight because it's going to be 27 degrees tonight. But whenever you collect Zinnia seeds, you just take them off of the plant whenever they're brown and dried up. Just about like everything that you collect seed from. Pick it when it's brown and crispy, like this. I think I'm also going to pick some of this sage down here to dry. It looks pretty good. And I think I am going to like pick a lot of the flowers that look decent and make a bouquet, because they won't be here tomorrow. Oh look, there's a bee hiding under there. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but it is sleeting right now. Little ice balls are falling all over me. I'm probably going to have to go in before I get this job done, but this is crazy. This is our first frozen weather event of the year. Let me see if you can see them bouncing around better down here. Gross. Why am I even out here doing this? Okay, I think that little sleet shower is over now, so I am going to collect some seeds off of this marigold. I can't remember the variety. I'll have to look it up and put it on the screen. I'm thinking it was like vanilla something, or I don't know. Like, the name of it led me to believe that they were going to be a pale yellow, but they're pretty bright yellow. But they were still fun to grow anyway, so I'm just pulling off these spent blooms that are brown. Okay, we are back inside. I gathered all of the seed heads that I needed to, and I figured that it would be easier to come inside and warmer to show you how to dismantle these blooms and get the seeds out of them. We're going to start out with this Gomphrena here, also known as globe amaranth, and I have actually never saved seeds from these before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But I picked a lot of these brown, dried up, old flower heads, and we're going to try to take this apart and see what happens. Alright, so I'm just going to start by pulling all of these petals off of this flower. I'm not seeing any kind of seeds falling out yet. Is that a seed or dirt? I don't know. I'm not really certain about where the seeds will be. Oh, actually, I have one single petal right here, and it feels really hard on the end where it connected to the plant. So, I'm guessing if we peel back these petals, the seed is going to be right at the bottom. Yeah, I can see it now. There we go. Very tiny, but there is one seed. Now, like I told you, it's been raining so much that this isn't completely dry yet. And maybe if it was completely dry, I could just rub these in my fingers and the petals would fall away from the seed. And so I think that's what I'm going to do with the rest of these, since I have a ton of them to do. I'll just wait until they completely dry, and then hopefully it will be easier to extract these tiny seeds from them. Okay, moving on to the zinnias. I'm pretty sure that these seeds are supposed to be arrow-shaped. So let's just tear this thing apart. Oh yeah, and you can see already, right here's a seed, right here's a seed. Those, those came out a lot easier than the Gomphrena. See, they're shaped like little arrowheads. So, we'll just crunch all of these up and just pull all of the pieces out that look like arrowheads. And again, These are still really wet. I'm going to let them dry a bit longer before I actually do this. I just wanted to show you what you're looking for with each flower. So I just wanted to do one as kind of an example, because every seed looks a little bit different. Alright, let's do the marigolds now. And I think these are pretty simple. I think they kind of look like little black picks. So let's open this up. Yeah, this is very easy right here. Cool. I've never saved seeds from these before either. That's what they look like. Easy peasy. All you have to do is open the old petals up and take these out. And they're sopping wet again. Ugh, it's gross. I hope that these seeds aren't ruined from being so wet, but I am just going to lay them out and hope for the best. Okay, I found something interesting whenever I was cleaning off the petals of the rest of these marigold seeds. Look at this. It's been so wet that some of these have started sprouting. Isn't that crazy? So these will be no good since they've already sprouted, which is a bummer. I was really afraid of that with all this rain, but hey, what are you gonna do? Can't control the weather. I might be able to get some of these out of the center and they're okay. But yeah, the ones on the outside, you can see there's little sprouts there. So they're going to the garbage. So I know it seems like a total waste of time to go through and spend that much time seed saving, but if you think about how much you pay for a pack of seeds, $2, $3, $4 sometimes, you're going to end up saving a lot of money if you don't have to buy those seeds again next year. Now moving on, I managed to pick quite a few pretty things that were left in the garden, and I think that we should make some nice arrangements for the house just as a farewell to the garden. I also have some thyme and some sage in here that I picked that I need to dry. So let's get to work on something pretty. So here's all the stuff that I gathered. This thyme right here will be dried for cooking, and the sage will be dried for cooking. Either that or I'll make some sage bundles out of it. But here's all the stuff that I gathered to make an arrangement out of. I took a few of the carrot blooms out of the garden because they're related to Queen Anne's lace, and I think that those umbrella shaped flowers are pretty cool. And I have the Envy Zinnias, of course, and I did go ahead and pick, let me see if I can find one here, some of the buds that weren't open yet. Look how cool those look. I mean, those are neat. And I have the Gomphrena here, and I did find some daisies out in the yard that I didn't plant these, they just grow wild here. Plus I went to the perennial garden bed and I picked some Verbena Bonariensis. Now these are looking pretty dried up and brown, but there's still a little bit of purple left in them, so I thought that they looked really cool. I think they would be cool in an arrangement. Plus these, which are purple coneflower seed heads, and they look really awesome too. Now I'm probably going to save seed from a couple of these, but I want to use a few of them in the arrangement, but most of them stay in the garden because there are some birds that eat these in the wintertime, so I didn't want to take food from the birds, so most of these stayed out in the garden. Okay, I have my vase here. I do not have any of those little granule things to put in here to make the flowers last longer, but if I only get to enjoy them for a few days, that'll be fine. I'm gonna speed the video up here so you don't have to watch me doing every single little thing. I might skip a few spots here and there, but in the end, I feel like we're gonna have a pretty cool arrangement for this vase to extend my summer just a few more days. I can enjoy it while it's 26 degrees outside, and that makes me happy. So I think it turned out pretty cute. Let me give you a close-up. I'm not a professional by any means, but I think we have a lot of interest in this little arrangement with the carrot flowers, the daisies, the verbena, the echinacea seed heads, and the zinnias and the Gomphrena. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I'm glad that I get to enjoy this for probably 4 or 5 days, don't you think? I feel like this was the perfect way to end my gardening season. I'm really sad that the warm weather is behind us, but now I get to start planning for next year's garden. I've already been researching some seeds and stuff that I want, so let's just end this on a high note. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time here on the Wilson Homestead. Bye, guys.